Hi there. Thought I might present myself as a case study today. I've just been for a stand-up paddle this morning. Sunrise, nice day, little waves, as usual, that's all I can handle. And I've managed to come off my board and hurt my back. These things happen. Physios aren't bulletproof. So I've come off the wave, a massive one, probably would have been at least this big, into shallow water, and I've landed heavily onto my foot because I've actually hit the sand and bent backwards and closed up these joints in my lower back. So let's see what happens over the next 72 hours or so. So as you can see, I'm standing here with a towel around my waist. That's to hold on the ice pack that I've got on my lower back. I'm choosing to treat myself like this to try and reduce the amount of swelling that's likely to occur in that area. With a bit of luck, it won't swell up too much, and I won't have to deal with a large amount of scar tissue or a large amount of fluid inside joints. I'm actually also electing to stand up most of the time. Now, unfortunately, in these sort of situations where you've just hurt yourself and you've damaged probably soft tissue, having said that, I've probably jammed two joints together, but it's likely to be the soft covering on the inside of the joints which has been damaged. It's actually the cartilage, probably a little bit, and possibly some of the actual capsule around that joint. Now, if I was to put myself in a sitting position, or maybe even a lying down on the couch position, which I'd love to do, but if I was to do that, that joint would stay open, and it'd be more of a chance for swelling to accumulate inside that joint. So I'm electing not to sit down or lie down too much. I'm going to continue to walk around, which might sound a little bit contrary to the popular treatment of RICE, that being rest, ice, compression, elevation. It's very difficult to compress a spinal joint. I'm doing my best by standing up. The ice, obviously, I've got my ice on there. Compression, we can't do much with that. The notion of rest, and just to go back, rest, I'll come back to that. Ice, I've got on. Compression, you can't do much of. Elevation, you can't really elevate it back. But the rest part, I'm electing to keep moving. I would like my body to be getting the message, if I'm going to heal up, I want to heal up so that I can actually move through this sort of range as best I can. Now it's going to be limited, as I just demonstrated. If I actually arch backwards, I get a bit of pain. If I bend to the side, I get a lot of pain. And I think if I combine that back into the side, I definitely get a lot of pain. So let's see what happens over the next 72 hours. I'm going to keep icing this, probably about 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off. Jury still seems to be out, but basically, probably for smaller joints, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. Larger joints, maybe 15 on, 15 off. It takes a little while for the cold to penetrate. So I'm going to do that. As far as, do I take painkillers, anti-inflammatories? Well, painkillers, yeah. If I feel like I'm in that much pain that I need to take something, I might take some paracetamol. If I was in a lot of pain, I might take some paracetamol and codeine. I'm electing not to take anti-inflammatories at the moment. I like to think that inflammation is a natural process and that we don't really need to necessarily inhibit that too much. There's mixed opinions again about whether to use anti-inflammatories or not. I'm going to avoid it for the moment, so it's ice. I'm going to see how I go, driving around, walking around, but basically let's just check back in probably a few hours and over the next couple of days, and we'll see how this behaves. I was able to finish my surf, carry my board out, walk to the car, put the board into the back of the van, and drive home without too much problems, because the swelling hadn't increased that much. And this is one of the things to remember when you actually injure soft tissue, is that it will not necessarily give you a huge amount of pain initially. You might get a sharp tweak as you actually damage some tissue, or as you just move in a quirky way. But as the swelling increases, your problem comes on. And that's why the ice is so important. So Silly as it might seem, standing here with a towel around my waist and an ice pack against my back, I think it's going to be the best thing I could do. And that's my advice to you is if you injure yourself, whack on some ice and keep it on until probably at least 72 hours have passed. Alright, check back with you shortly.